Welcome to the Real ResQ podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicast. This episode of the Real ResQ is being sponsored by Breeze Eastern. They dedicate themselves to our helicopter rescue world. Since the very first helicopter rescue in November of 1945, Breeze Eastern has designed and manufactured superior rescue hoist solutions. While much of the technology and the unique mission requirements have changed over the past 75 years, their commitment to the rescuers, the operators, and those being rescued has not. Contact them today by visiting them at breeze-eastern.com. My name is Jason Quinn. I am United States Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer number 500. These are my rescues and rescues from those of us that put our lives on the line every day so others may live. This is the Real ResQ podcast. Welcome back. The through flight is done. We are fueled up and ready to go for part 2. So let's launch it. So Claude, dude, all right, our next unit that you get to, which I'm pumped about as well, because you have more rescues up there that stand out to you. Plus you're in Coast Guard Alaska, which is even cooler. I'm just going to throw that out there. But
man, here we go with that.
Let's start with this, dude. You and let me get there. And it's, let's see, you had a rescue on what's known as the Midnight Sun. And there was a news article in the Kodiak Daily Mirror, and let's see, midnight rescue for grounded Midnight Sun. A Coast Guard helicopter crew rescued 5 fishermen from the Kodiak-based fishing vessel Midnight Sun after the vessel went aground 36 miles northwest of Kodiak early Friday. Dude, what?
Yeah, so we got it's one of them crews where the aircraft commander and flight mechanic got air medals, and we got accommodation medals, but I didn't get out of the helicopter. It's always tough. You don't get out of the helicopter.
Put me in, coach. Put me in.
Yeah,
I want to go in.
I mean, it just went well. It was a fishing vessel went aground. I always say it was like a Thursday night in Kodiak, 80-mile-an-hour winds. Get out of the RCB and ready crew berthing. The RCB is ready crew berthing, and dumpsters are rolling around by the wind. You're like, what in the world's going on? Wind's howling, and you can hear these guys on the radio with the sector side of it, how they're up against the rocks, and one of them chilling. If you ever heard somebody dying on the radio, you're like, oh man, this is really bad, and so we make preparations, get taken off, and we get out there in like 12 minutes. I'm eating my box lunch because I'm hungry all the time, especially in the middle of the night.
You and me both.
So eat the box lunch, and they get into a hover, and we're up against a 1,000-foot cliff behind us, and
oh my god,
the waves are breaking. It's nasty, man. It's just one of the nasty nights, and you're like, okay, I'll go in, no problem, and but you just do what's best for the people, and super skilled crew. They start hoisting, and it goes very well. The first basket goes down, guys get in. They had a trail line, and these guys are pulling this thing like 90 degrees. I think Monkey put 3 weight bags on that night, and put them all together, get the trail line down, and so they I'm sorry, man. I'm just trying to remember everything. And they come up. We pull the one guy out of the basket, immersion suits, and it goes well 5 times. And then it's like, okay, forward flight. And then all of a sudden we go to take off in that headwind. Took us like an hour and something to get back. 12-minute flight out, and then an hour and something to get back. Super clear though. It was weird. It was super windy, but it was super clear, and it was just one of them crazy nights. Get back to the little cruise lounge there in the where the guys at your lunch by maintenance control in the new hangar in Kodiak, and these guys are dumping out their dry suits, and they got like 10 grand of cash laying all over, and everything else. But But crew of 5 young guys let the boat. I guess they fell asleep and the boat just drifted ashore, and they almost lost their damn life. So, but I got accommodation for it. I can't find half my write-ups. I don't know. Maybe I put them somewhere. I'm very good about being organized, but I'm too organized. I'm unorganized. So, but
well, good for you. And so the aircraft commander and the flight mechanic both got air medals off that.
Yeah, we got comment, which I never did it. I mean, everybody says I didn't do it for the awards, but it was just pretty cool when you see these guys and how happy they are to be alive, and shit like that. So
yeah.
But yeah, man, it was
awesome.
kind of crazy case. So definitely a crazy case.
All right.
Yeah. Typical Kodiak Thursday. So
typical Kodiak. That's funny. So you have another one up there with a goat rescue on the South Island of an old Coast Guard pilot. What?
Oh yeah. So I think we're sitting there and I think I broke the plane. Or one of the planes.
You broke it.
Yeah. So every time I touch something, it breaks. So Friday afternoon, trying to take duty for the guys or do something. I took a flight and there were still guys there. So took the late afternoon flight. Everybody else goes home, and I come walking back in, and there's duty guys there. It's Trevor Salt. Trevor Salt's an animal. Great guy, great kid, super humble kid. Man, I shouldn't say that. And all around great rescue swimmer, And we so this thing comes in, goat hunter backside of the mountain, yada yada yada. He actually called in. His buddy called in to the air station because he said, I guess the guy fell. Was like, hey man, I fell 1,000 feet. I'm pretty. All I could picture is like Will Ferrell and Violet Shagged Me. You know what I mean? Where Will Ferrell falls down the cliff. He's like, I need a Band-Aid and I need a, maybe something else. I don't know if you remember that or not, but on Austin Powers, it's like, oh man,
yeah.
That's all I can think of. So we go out there, man. We go out there, and we can't find him at first. So we're looking. All of a sudden, we find him. It's like 1,000. I think it's they're on 1,000 foot up. They're on a rock shale, like rock slide. I call it shale, but it's probably granite and Kodiak. And it's just one of them typical SAR cases where you're going to work. You're never going to do work. So Trevor goes out. He goes down. I got the EMT kit. We got outside this mountain. And the mountain is like, it don't look steep, but when you get on it, it's freaking steep, So super steep thing. I'm like, oh my God, this is pretty steep. So, I start assessing the guys. Trevor goes to the guy. I go, I'm like, hey, he goes, we need the litter. So he makes them sign for the litter. And once you get the litter, he's got to hold it. The other guy's holding it. And we put the guy in. Anyway, we put the guy in and Trevor's doing a lot of the work. I'm so fucking scared on the side of this mountain, So I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna fall, So anyway, we're both working hard, in a dry suit. So if we slip in them tri-lambs, we're going down the hill. We're gonna go flying down the hill like be a bag of bones by the end of it, just a bag of bones inside that dry suit. So
oh my gosh.
It's the tri-lamb, it's real slippery. So you're not gonna stop, you're just gonna slide. Now they got all this new gear. You see these guys doing rescue on Coast Guard. It's like they got really some nice gear, which is way awesome, So Trevor and the guy from the guy that called in, his buddy, they're holding a litter, me and Trevor, the guys holding litter. It's kind of vague in my memory, and but anyway, this thing is so steep. If he goes, he's on a sled ride all the way down. He's going to be in a lot worse off shape on this shale. It's not going to be pretty. We're going to be picking him up with us. It's going to be a hell of a ride. And think about Kodiak. It's not like it's like a straight ski slope. You've got alders, you've got more jagged rocks. You've got, all I can think of is just sliding down this thing and just, it's not going to be a fun ride like a kid sleigh ride. It's going to be, you're going to have stuff sticking out of you by the end of it. So, which I don't want.
Yeah,
I like having all my parts where they're supposed to be, and nothing sticking out of me. So, but yeah, so we're looking at this cliff. So this guy's in the litter. He's a lot of trust, man. People got a lot of trust in us when we're rescuing them, because if we mess up one time, it's over. They don't know how close to death they really are, even with us. So I mean, think about it though. You're right? Like, oh, help us here. Next thing you know, it's like you see the videos where litter is just spinning uncontrollably for, for 20 minutes. Nobody's doing anything. You're like, oh, well, sucks to be you, but you're getting rescued, So, but, that's the problem, and our standardization makes it so we're so good at it. But I'm sure there was days where we, like the one guy, Pat Chick, falling off the mountain. That's all you can think about, and guys sliding, and that all our procedures are written in blood, right? I mean, it's not like somebody didn't fall down the side of a mountain or, I just think we're so damn strong and good looking that we don't have the problem of, we're able to compensate. Like our insurance is a lot higher because we're so strong and we're in shape, So I mean, it's just crazy to me. But anyway, so Trevor's first thing we do, I think the first thing we do is littered him, and then he gets up in the cabin, and Trevor does all the work. I'm like clinging to it, like an alder bush, like a little girl. I'm like, oh my God, holding this guy's rifle. I'm like, I'm gonna get blood. And the 60 is just a beast. So it's kicking up stuff like it's like Black Hawk Down. There's just stuff blowing everywhere. So stuff's hitting you in the face, and you got stuff in your teeth. You're just like, man, why did I sign up for this? And you don't really think of it as a time, but you're loving life, because you're doing what you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So he gets a basket next, gets the guy off the side of the mountain, and then it's time for us to go. And I'm back to the mountain for some reason. I'm looking at this guy's rifle. It's like a $3,000 LaRue tactical rifle. And I'm like, this is a really nice 308, like black gun. And I'm like, oh my God, this thing is. All of a sudden, a rotor wash hit me, and I'm like sliding like 10 feet. And I'm like, I'm gonna die, So I'm holding this guy's rifle because I don't want to drop this $3,000 rifle for it. And I'm sliding, I'm grabbing, catch myself. Trevor goes, "You all right?" I'm like, I'm gonna die out here. So so he hooks me up, do a what would be a mad poo. I was a bitch in that one, and get mad poo back to the helicopter with Trevor, and just the trust you have in the brotherhood, man. It's so awesome. It's not going to drop you. And, we're gonna, if we, it's like that backdraft. If you go, I'm gonna go. But I'm only sliding like 5 feet. I'm not gonna die, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm dying. So I'm very dramatic. So dramatic. You go, I go. No, I love being in Kodiak because there's such a big shop, and there's, some of the antics that went on, and, we did like a bar crawl. It was just, you're never going to replace that in life. We chase that, we chase that when we retire. We want to try to chase that dream of having that brotherhood. It's such a unique thing to be in.
Oh, totally.
And, so
I've never been anywhere else that's like that. And there's a lot of places I've been, even down at Priority One when we were standing duty down there, we had a cool, unique dynamic where you're with guys all the time and you have that brotherhood there, but it wasn't the same. It's just
no, it's you're right, and my biggest letdown was working EMS. Like there's no brotherhood there. Like when I retired, I went right to work for EMS, and I'm like, this is not a brotherhood. This is the furthest thing from it. Now, I just got a job in a union as an apprentice, as an equipment operator, and it's like 1995, with how they talk, and it's just really gruff men, but it's very close, but it's not the same. These guys are good, but it's still a brotherhood, but not like we had. We were so fortunate to be part of that, man. We were, with Joey doing DCERT. I mean, who does that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's so much effort for him. And plug for DCERT. I can't wait to go here. I mean, I'm already counting down.
Yeah, me too.
I just hope it doesn't go the other way, because the first time was so much fun. Now the guys that missed it are like, let's go, let's make this the best. How swimmers are. We'll make this the best DCERT ever. Cocaine, strippers. I'm like, it wasn't about that. It's totally family, But I'm just, I talked to guys for hours, like Mark Womble. I talked to him.
Yeah.
Who else did I talk to? I mean, it was just,
there's so many guys there.
Such amount of guys, and it was, you may not have liked the guy you were stationed with, but you still talked to him, and it was like, you caught up with him still, and because that's how bays are. But Anyway,
No, it's the
so
way we are.
yeah,
It's the way we are.
yeah.
No, I'm with you, dude.
So,
Totally with you. All right, let me
yeah.
touch on one more thing while you're in Alaska. Coast Guard Alaska on
Oh man,
TV.
yeah. I'm I'm a sexy man, America. You know how many times I hear that? You know, what's funny is this is probably what 13 years ago this thing came out, and dude, people are still like, I'll be you know, Coast Guard buffs, you know, like really Coast Guard towns, you know, like you go to like just different places that people love the Coast Guard, and they're like, hey, you look like that guy that was on Coast Guard Alaska, but you're much heavier now. And I'm like, yeah, lady, that was 5 years and 50 pounds ago, you know. So, you know, like I'm like, yeah, life got a hold of me. Okay. You know, I retired, had a good time. Now I'm on the way back down, you know. So but yeah, I did get heavy, but I'm losing weight. That's what I tell them. But yeah, people are like, oh, I love that show. And it did really good for the Coast Guard. You know, it really
Yeah.
did. It was cool to be part of. It wasn't like the Deadliest Catch because, you know, everything's so dramatic on Deadliest Catch. You know, you're doing a simple hoist in the daylight, and they're going to make 10 commercials out of it and choose, you know, to be continued series, you know, out of a medevac. But hey, you know, we're quiet professionals, and I love telling the Coast Guard story, so it was awesome. I met some really good friends for life on that, you know, like the producer, and you know, it was really good for the Coast Guard up there. Really good for morale. You know, Chris Moore said, he's a chief at the Petaluma school. He's like, I'm like, camera adds 10 pounds, and right away, sitting next to me, he goes, "Would they have 5 cameras on you?" I'm like, motherfucker, what a good rip. So, yeah, so,
Oh.
yeah, so.
That's funny.
Coast Guard Alaska did a lot of good. It really was a cool experience to be part of. At the end, I was kind of tired of it because it's just, you know, they did like how many seasons, so I was, you know, I just felt like it became more commercialized. But hey, it is what it is. It's about recruiting, right? So once we got out, Quinny, the recruiting went to shit. You know, they couldn't get anybody like us. You know, so no.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
So,
well, after Alaska, you bounced down into Elizabeth City, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And there are a couple there that I want to talk about. Let me start with the first one. You had a sailboat where you ended up landing on the USS Cole.
Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of Navy presence out here. So, you know, you might get like, I've been further offshore in Elizabeth City. You're like, there's no rigs, there's no, it's just nuts, you know, and you know, so typical duty night, going. It was Columbus Day week, I'll never forget, in 2013, and there had been a big sailboat race, and Chad Watson did a huge rescue that Thursday night before, and it's a raft story about that too. So we get launched out, like, you know, right at the end of your duty day on a Sunday morning, sailboat in trouble, yada 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 yada, you know. So en route, we got to get gas in the Cole, which the USS Cole was the destroyer that got blown up in 2000 in Yemen. Yeah. So they put it back together, and they towed it back, put it back together, and it's out there doing Navy stuff, you know, which is what's restored to Navy guys. 50 men come out and 25 couples come back. So I don't know what the hell goes on in the Navy, you know. My kid's in the Navy, so you know, it's like those with a slap in the face. So yeah, I always tell him all the time, like, how's it feel to be a woman in the Navy? You know, he's like, screw your dad, you know. Anyway, so we land on the Cole, and what's unique about the Cole is, you know, when you walk through, you're walking through history, right? So you know, so we get gas, go back out, pick these 3 people up. Pretty benign case, as far as it goes, you know. Just I think it was 3 hoists, 3 directs, like 10-foot seas, nothing. Beautiful day. You can't write home about it. You know, it's just your typical multi in the pool, you know, 3 survivors, the first multi, and went very well. Super well.
You got lowered down into the water?
Oh yeah, directed. Well,
okay.
I think I got directed down.
Lowered down into the water. A typical day with 10-foot waves. Okay.
beautiful,
Yeah,
but
whatever.
it's not Alaska, it's not Cape Cod. There's no sharks that I know of. But think about offshore, as it's super clear, so you can see everything. You're looking down, you can see everything. But it's funny because the Coast Guard cutter was there the day before, and they're like, "Are you guys all right?" And they're like, "No, we need to get out of here." They're like, "Okay, we'll be back." And somehow that didn't get translated off to our rudders broke and we can't get out of here. The Coast Guard cutter left. I don't know. Like, it's just a weird, how boaties are, man. They're probably having a big old, man orgy on that 270, and I don't know what goes on, So anyway,
That's terrible. Terrible, Claude.
It's
terrible.
truth. I'm speaking the truth though. You know what I mean? Poor boaties. No, I got a respect for them guys. Need fuel. I love them. But so the boaties they leave them for some reason, or they always say, well, we told them. I don't think they told them, because why would they? They probably were like, no, it's fine. And all of a sudden they don't want to get hit for the bill, So, and get lower down, directs, two women, an old man, just a cool case, and so we get another case and we're out there. They're like, hey, we got an EPIRB going off. I'm like, oh my God, this is Elizabeth
While
City.
you're out, while you're already out there.
Yeah, so there's an EPIRB going off. We're like, oh my God, go back to the coal, and we got to drop these people off. So, we land and I go into the bowels of the ship, and it's still rough out there. It's a nice day, but it's like, the guys in the helicopter are getting seasick because I'm in there bullshit with the crew. I'm having coffee, got my legs crossed, having tea with the captain. He's cool as hell. He's showing me the ship, and there's a whole nother SAR case going on, and I'm just So we drop these three people off, and I'm in there, just loving life, and they're getting seasick because they're tied to the back, and they're taking waves. And so I get back to the helicopter, and they go, we are so seasick, where have you been? I'm like, I was in there doing assessments, sir. It's Greg Dahl. I'm in there doing, and Jared Carvajal, I'm like, I'm in there doing assessments, and John Avery, I'm like, the flight mechanic John Avery, I'm like, I'm doing like a lot of work in there. I'm really working hard. Meanwhile, it's like I got like 3 box lunches. I've already scavenged, got all the good candy bars out of them, and stuff like that. So I'm like, I got you guys lunches. They go, we don't want lunches. We just want to get off this boat. We're getting seasick, So it's like, all right. So it was like 20 minutes, But what's unique about the coal is where them guys that got killed on the bulkhead of the passageway, they have stars. They have stars honoring their names in the floor. Like it's pretty wild,
Oh, and that's cool.
Yeah, so I don't know how many people died in that boat, but there was a bunch of stars, and man, each one of these represents somebody's. This is where they were when they died, on this warship. It's like humbling. You're like, they do a lot of good shit. So yeah, it was kind of humbling to see that. So meanwhile, we figure out that the EPIRB is the one that Chad Watson left behind. Another life vest left behind.
So he didn't pop the raft? Is that what you're telling me?
He didn't pop the raft. And,
we gotta
go.
Rookie move. Rookie move.
So they direct me down. And I'm like, I'll just catch the raft. I'll go catch the raft, right? Yeah. How many guys have said that? Every time I hear your podcast, like, I'm not the only guy that's I'm gonna go catch the raft. So get lower down like 10 feet from, not gonna catch it, no matter how hard you try. And like, you're in a dry suit, you're sweating, you're like, oh my God. So they finally picked me up, put me on the raft, I pop it, grab the EPIRB, I think I take the EPIRB back with me to give to Chad, and one of them deals. And
thanks, Chad.
Yeah, it's good shit though. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's funny.
So, but yeah, East City had an awesome shop at the time. Oh man, so many young guys, such enthusiasm. I remember PTing with them guys. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm gonna die. Like every time I PT with them, I'm like, because they just took it to the extreme, and yeah,
because it's fun. It's a good time.
Oh my God, I do miss
and the
that.
young bucks, man. You just and Watson said it as well when Pat Roach and I got up into Kodiak. It was like, hold the reins back, snapping reins, just going to town. That's the young guys, man. You gotta.
Yeah,
let it go. Let him ride.
I know.
Go hard.
It's awesome, dude.
It's so cool.
So awesome. Yeah.
All right, let me ask you another one. So you have a medevac of a stroke patient up out of East City as well.
So it's kind of messed up. I had just got back from working a hitch in Priority One. I just got back from EMT research. I had done my paramedic research, so I was on my A game, and this lady, from what they said, was really banged up. So they called me up to go. I was working night shift, and they had called me up to come in to do this medevac. And somehow I kind of bumped the swimmer, and as Evan Bigton, I feel bad, like a doucher for doing it, because we had a
You're
paramedic
one of those
with
guys
us.
right now.
I felt like it, I'm like, and it just turned like, well, he's cool about it, but I hated doing it. You know what I mean? Like we should have took him, but when I'm taking another paramedic, because it was that bad, but you always feel bad about that, but I hated, I always hated when first class or somebody did that to me, like, oh, we're going to do this because, so yeah, I felt kind of remorse about it, but Evan was totally cool about it. And, because it has a ventilator, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So, but, the thing about the Coast Guard, you're either going to get there alive or you get there dead. There's really no in between. You know what I mean? It's not like Priority One where we're doing a lot of different things. So, yeah, I felt like that guy, and I said, Evan, I said, so feel like douchebag. He's like, no, man, it's for the patient, and that's how they are. They're humble, quiet professionals, So, so we go out to this cruise ship, me, a medic, flight mechanic. I think it was
Wait a
Check
minute,
McLeod.
it gets even better. You took a cruise ship rescue from him? Oh,
yeah,
man, dude.
Oh God, I know. Come on, man. I'm feeling like a douchebag.
I might rub that in just a little bit, because cruise ships are some of my favorite, dude. You go out there, it's like Super Bowl. Pictures and flash photography everywhere. You roll up, you're like, hang from the hook. You're like, what? Which way is the pool, man? Is it patients that way?
Yeah. So karma strikes, right? Karma strikes, right? So you know how you're running a cruise ship, and we go to the bow. So there's everybody. They take the teak deck up. Karma got me real quick on this one with Evan. So we pull in, the best thing is when you pull up next to a cruise ship, if you're running the FLIR, people like, I've done a ton of cruise ship medevacs, and you're looking, they're naked out, and they're like, they don't think we can see them. So like you cruise up next, watch, if you do another one, you cruise up next to them, and everybody can hear us, and they must announce it. And there's girls and ladies and men, old men love to be naked. I've never seen it. Like all of a sudden you look down at the FLIR and there's like a dude's junk hanging out. You're like, what in the world? There's a good looking woman, you're like, so I'm always, on the FLIR in the 60s, you got WPN. I would say it's weapons, but it's want picture now. So I used to fill them up with just naked people. I'd be in the FLIR, and because there's always a 10-minute hoist. We gotta, I think there's a brief to take a shit in the Coast Guard, okay, so back up to the pole and all this other stuff. So, so I'm taking pictures of all these people that are naked, and I'm sure somebody at the sector's like, why are all these junk pictures on here, So, but yeah, I never forget, one lady's like, this older lady's like trying to hide from us. I'm like, we can see. I'm like, Jeff, check it out, Anyway, I digress. I guess it's the old pervert in me. I don't know. So, but so we get to the breeze. And they're like, okay, what do you want to do? I'm gonna go down and save the day here. What do you think I'm gonna go do, sir? Okay, let's just do a harness delivery of the rescue swimmer to the 400-yard bow of this cruise ship with 5 million people watching, and videotaping. So, well, if you don't know, when they pull that teak deck up, it gets so slick, right? Super slick, right? So, me being a big bad rescue swimmer in a 60, I get lower down my EMT kit. I got the ventilator, whatever the hell I had like 3 bags, and brought my fins with me in case I had to jump off, off a cruise ship. Like I need my fins. So you only do that one time. Every other time you take it with you. You're going to take it with you because you don't want to not have them. Better to need them and not have them and not need them, not have them. So get lower down, and this Italian guy, they're real helpful. The Italian guy's like by the stairs, he's holding his arms out. I'm like, looking at him, I'm like, get out of the way. I push him out of the way. Well, I hit these stairs. Dude, they are slicker than snot, dude. I'm at the top in 1 second. And at the bottom, I'm at the bottom within like a second later. I'm on my back and my knee is killing me. And I look up and all I can see is people taking video. And I'm like, I just slid down this entire flight of stairs. And at least 20 people have this thing on video of me just eating shit. You know what I mean? Because I was being cocky. You know, I'm like, get out of the way. You know, the guy's trying to tell me in Italian. He's like, hey, you know, the stairs are never be slippery or something like that. You know, I'm like, you know, you can't hear nothing. You know, so I'm at the bottom, and these people are looking at me, and I'm like looking at them, my knees like behind my ear, and I'm like, okay, time to go rescue mode. So you kind of get up, you know, gracefully. 290 pounds of me gets up gracefully, and I meant to do that. That's how I run, you know. So walk on in, and this lady she's really bad, man. Like I'm looking at the monitor, and at the time I was a good paramedic, so I knew what everything meant. All that swinging, I knew what they actually meant, each squiggly line, you know. So I'm like, you know, blood pressure's like 300 over 200. You're like, holy shit, you know. And there's the nurse has got a couple drips hanging, and I'm like, oh man, this is legit. Like this is game on. I think she had nitro drip. Anyway, there was a significant amount of medical problems with her, and she's unconscious, she's intubated. So of course I checked the tube inside the thing, and I'm working her up, and we got to put her in the litter, and everybody's helping, thank God. So the whole thing is I don't want to lose a tube. So the monitor I had capnography, so it worked out really well. But she was critical, man. Like she was super critical, and her husband's there, and he's like, I'm going to go with you. And then I'm like, I don't need a nurse. I don't need a nurse because it's all going to get in the way at this point. So the husband gets basketed up. We get her up to the helicopter, and the medic's up there. I knew the medic. He was from town. We took a medic with us and me, and he's got his whole kit. So we really could do a lot of cool shit, So I think we're pushing more drugs, and we're following the protocols for a stroke. And they got most of it, but they didn't get, the tube was not really secured well. So we're checking that, and you're doing horrible things. The guy's sitting right there in the troop seat, the husband, and we're doing horrible things to her wife. I think we had to put an IO in at one point because they only had like I got another IV, and then that, I think we did put an IO in, and come out somebody's family with a drill. This is even the flight mechanics, like I never seen stuff like that. And I think we put an IO up top in the shoulder.
Up in the shoulder.
And, yep.
So an IO in Austria, that's drilling right into the bone of the shoulder, or you can go down into the shin area.
Yep.
A couple fingers.
So we put one in there
below the knee.
Yep. And he's watching me hit his. Yeah. He's watching me hit this drill with his wife, and he's probably like, "What in the world's going on?" Because it's when you're saving somebody's life. It's not like the TV. It's not glamorous. You're doing a lot of horrible stuff in hopes the horrible stuff you're doing saving a life. The guy is a super nice guy. So I always try to make that connection with somebody. I'm like, hey sir, what we're doing is normal. And he's like, I know. And he's crying. This is his wife, So we get to Norfolk General, and, we land in Norfolk General, and we're superstars. We come out of the helicopter, and, so I see this guy, and I'm like, hey, sir, here's my number. I always try to, because I thought she's going to die, and he's all alone. Now, picture this, you're off a cruise ship, and, you've been on a cruise ship, you got on somewhere, now you're in Norfolk General, and in Virginia, and you've got nobody with you. So I'm like, if you need something, call me. That's the type of person I am, like if you need something, just give me a holler, and please tell me how she makes out. Because I was generally concerned for her, and I get my number, and probably like 3 months goes by, right? I'm like, oh, so, I get a phone call. That's February, May. So 3 months goes by, and I get a phone call. He's like, hey, this is such and such. I don't want to say their name. They said, I said, I was the guy, my wife, he got her off the boat, cruise ship about 3 months ago. And I said, oh, sir, I'm so sorry for your loss. He goes, my loss? He goes, you saved her life. You guys saved her life. I'm like, what? Because I thought she was going to die,
Wow.
And so I go, oh, she's okay? Like, she's like, yeah, she just got a little numbness in her one pinky. I'm like, holy shit, like we actually did something to save somebody's life, And dang, I'm like, yeah. Good for you. So they became really good friends. Fred and Betty became really, really good friends. And it was funny. So I talked to them and talked to her, and super grateful people. They actually they become like a second set of like grandparents for my kids, and
I
just
love it.
all around good people. I've still stayed in contact with them. I haven't talked to them in a while, but just good people. And it's funny because they're really well off. So I'm sitting there one day and like I think it was like the end of May, and all of a sudden they get she goes, "We want to send a card to you." So they get my address, they send the card to me. It's like a check for like $5,000 in the thing. I'm like, "Oh my God."
Oh
I'm
my
like, "I
God.
can't take this. I can't take this." She's like, "Buy some beers." I'm like, "How much beer could I buy? I buy for beer for the whole air station, and everything." And long story short, I call Brew. I'm like, "Shannon," I'm like, "Chief," I'm like, "I got this freaking check in the mail." I'm like, "I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to go to the brig. Can we what do we do?" And he's like, "We'll call the OD." I don't know. So I call the OD and I'm like, "Hey, I got a check from a survivor." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I always say ask grass or gas. Nobody rides for free, but I'm just was kidding, sir." And the OD is like, brand new. He goes, "You said what to the people?" I'm like, "Yes, sir. Ask grass or gas. Nobody rides for free. They really paid us." And he goes, and I could hear deadness on the other side of the phone. I'm like, "Sir, I'm joking, but they get a check. What do I do?" So long story short, they're like, "Bring it in tomorrow." Pretty much like 10 minutes, 20 minutes go by, bring it in tomorrow. And, so wrote them a letter. "Thank you very much. Can't accept your check, but you can always make a contribution to the Coast Guard Foundation," which they did. And just all around good people, and they've always like every
Wow.
Christmas they sent cookies, and they send us a lot of cool stuff. So just awesome people, dude. Awesome people. So
That's so
yeah,
cool.
Fred and Betty, awesome. Just you're always cruising the world. I always find out where they're going. So it's just an awesome thing. So
That's one of my favorite things about what we do. And the follow up later, which doesn't happen very often, but that
no,
follow up and all of a sudden you make that connection. It just, man, it really
yeah,
resonates. I love
yeah,
it. It's one of my favorite parts about what we do, for sure.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's like that's why we do it, right? We always say, "Oh, it's not
Yeah.
about the awards," which some guys it
It's,
is. For me, I got plenty of awards, but it's always about you make that connection in life with somebody,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know it's so important, so important.
Awards are nice to
But,
be recognized. And I'm always grateful, but that's not why I do it. And
yeah,
yeah, no. The letter from the family means more to me than anything and any award I've ever gotten. It's
yeah,
it's just it hits home.
yep, it
So
does, man. It's like this is why we do it. Even
yeah,
like when working EMS, you save somebody's life, and it's still like they don't really follow up either. They might follow, come to the station, give you cookies, but Coast Guard is so much more dramatic. People remember that.
right,
I think anybody
right.
that saves a life, I don't care where it is, but so
Yeah,
yeah, it was cool, man. It was a cool case. So
that is cool.
East City, man. Of all the stations I've been to, it was the most SAR, like all the time, like go go go. People don't realize that Elizabeth City, like, "Oh, Elizabeth City's terrible." I'm like, "Nah, it's probably the best SAR in the world." But I'll say it.
Well,
I've been big
oh,
units, but Elizabeth City is full of it.
well, I want to
So
touch on a couple more that you have there. The next one, you and your crew saved a billionaire that helped fund Pinterest. What? We're gonna divert real quick to thank our sponsors. Breeze Eastern, the world's only dedicated helicopter hoist and winch provider.
yeah. And so, more money than brains, right? That's what I always say. Somebody's got more money than brains, they're going to get in trouble. So, no, this guy is obviously a very smart, talented individual. He had a carbon fiber, the whole boat was a catamaran built out of launchies with a carbon fiber mast. And typical February day, and everything happened in February. It's like it never stops. It was like January, February of 15, and it's big waves out there, man. It's like, and these guys are going through a storm, and they put the wrong sail up, and it actually demasted this carbon fiber masted, you know, multi-million-dollar sailboat catamaran.
Holy cow.
it's like 270 miles offshore, which is 20 more miles than Scott Holloway. We've got to remember to put that out, you know. So Scott Holloway was 250 and I was 270 with the crew. And
That's twice. That's
you
twice
know,
you went further
yeah,
than Scott.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah. So
You know
Scott,
Scott's gonna come back on here and just talk shit about you like the whole next episode.
oh, I was talking shit to him last night, and because I had called and said, "Hey man, I told him doing an interview. He's like, do an interview with Quinny like after he did it. I'm like, Scott, I'm not like you. I don't have to pipe myself up. And then I'm like, after hearing Bobby's, I'm like, man, that's really a cool thing, you know. So
Oh, that's funny. Anyway,
Scott, yeah.
sorry.
So when on a side note, so Scott retired and he was real humble. Scott, believe it or not, Scott's a really humble guy. And it's emotional for him. You know, he went to police academy and he comes out of he had like a get together after he graduated police academy in Cape Cod. Well, he's walking out. Oh no, this is his last day, dude. This is his last day walking out. That's what it was. It was like a Friday. He's just walking out and it's like, he's just leaving, you know? So he gets to the door. He goes, I go, Scott. I'm packing a parachute for a drag shoot in a Falcon. I go, Scott, I got to tell you something. And he comes back in, he turned around, he's almost like teary-eyed, you know. And I'm like, just want to let you know, Scott, you're fucking dead to me. And he just turned around and walked out. I start laughing. He starts laughing, you know, because, you know, he retired, you know. He's like, only you would say that, you know, for this time. Every time we talk to each other, he's like, you're fucking dead to me. You know, it's just how rough we are as rescue swimmers, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah. So but yeah, it was definitely an awesome dude. But so where are we at with this art case? We're
so you're 10 20 miles further than Scott Holloway, so Scott, 275 miles offshore.
Yeah. So the Herc's over top of us. Everybody's nervous as hell, right? And that we're not going to get back because we got a headwind. I'm like, no, we're going to get back. So, you know, to break the tension, I'm like, I know what happened. So anyway, we go down to this demast sailboat. Of course, they put me. I'm trying to chase the boat. Can't chase the boat. You just can't. Nope. Nope. Everybody's got to try it. You know, it's like, oh, it's not moving that fast. Pick me back up. I'm like, we're running out of fuel. Like,
it is rolling. Boats and rafts are cruising through the water. You have no idea. Get in front of it. Be in front of it.
Yeah.
Like, I know it sounds crazy. Let it come to you.
Yep. So, you know, and the worst thing is you're swimming through waves. So you look at the boat and you're trying to swim, you're looking up and you're up above the boat and then you're down below the boat. Then you're up above the boat and you're down below the boat. You're like, I'm not getting any closer to this boat. It's getting further away. And meanwhile, you're going up like, you know, your waves are going up and down. You know, you're in heavy seas. You know, you're like, I should catch this thing on the downward. Then it's mounting a wave and you're like, oh my God, you got this wave. And anyway, man, it's just, you can't catch it. There's no freaking. So, you know, and I was experienced first FEB instructor. I should know this, you know. So anyway, they direct me down, and the first kid that jumps off is a billionaire's son. I didn't know there were billionaires at the time. So they jump off, do a direct, you know, they, you know, get right into the boat, boom, like right ahead of it, get the kid, get back up, you know, complete that 5 times flawlessly. The billionaire's son, 3 other dudes, the captain. Some guy got rescued again by the Coast Guard. So it's like one guy that gets rescued twice. I'm like, you know, I get rescued once by the Coast Guard, I'm done. You know, like I'm doing career changes. You know, so we get back to the helicopter, and it's 2 lieutenants, Mr. Jenny Rapp, Mr. Riley. I forget the kid's name. Super good kid though. AET, good flight mechanic, and I wish I remember his name. But you know, we're heading back, and I grabbed a bunch of blankets in a 60. We had blankets with us, and these guys, you know, it's January, so we're like, hey, we can't have any ECS, got to save fuel to get back. You know, we're just gonna.
So ECS is the
environmental control unit.
Thank you.
Environmental control unit.
The heat, the AC.
Yeah. So we got it off to save fuel. Sorry about that. And you know, I'm sitting there. So I'm by the door. I'm getting kind of cold. You know, I'm in a tri-land dry suit. Again. So, and actually they needed some help. I wanted to get back navigating and stuff with the helicopter, know where we're at in case we crash and maybe off. So I moved the billionaire, and I'm sitting on these I got all these blankets, right? I'm not thinking anybody's cold because I'm a little cold, but I'm sitting on these 5 blankets, on the swimmer seat. They're right next to me, and they're these guys are freezing. They've been in the water. They're in like half-ass Mustangs, and I'm like, oh man. So it's just it's February. It's cold as hell. I'm making radio calls. Herc goes, "Hey, you guys looking for fuel?" I go, "Sir," I said, I call him. It's Mr. Bolin in the. I know all the pilots, I'm like, "Hey, Mr. Bolin." He's like, I'm like, it's Morrissey. And we're just chitter chatting on the was it 120, whatever it was, our internal frequencies talking to each other. And I forget what channel it would be, but he goes, "Do you guys are making for fuel?" I go, "No, man, we're gonna have to land." So I'm like, there's a parking lot, he's like, "Oh my God, like we have to land." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a parking lot just on 168. It's got a big sign outside that says Headlights, which is a local strip joint in the Outer Banks. I'm like, we're gonna have to do an emergency landing there, fuel truck rendezvous. She's like, "Put it on the beach if you have to, And I'm like, "No, we'll land in Headlights parking lot because it's like direct line when you look at the maps. It's like a direct line." He's like, "So you want to land at Headlights?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have a fuel truck meet us there." And I didn't realize how close we were, and they're like, he was joking, he starts laughing, and I'm like, "Yeah, we'll have this guy buy us around the beers." I go, "You guys want to land there as well?" He goes, "You guys could probably land there. It'd be a lot less traumatic if we do." And I go, "Yeah." So landed a Herc on the highway, and so he's laughing, and I'm making light of a situation. Everybody in the helicopter's laughing, and I try to always make light of a situation coming back. Sometimes stuff gets pretty heavy, and you try to make it fun. And this was a great case. So when I'm going to Manio, which is our closest point, landed Manio Airport, and I'm like calling pizzas, and I'm hungry. It's the end of a duty day. It's like 9 o'clock, end of duty night. I'm like, I'm hungry, so I'm like, "Hey, call the airport." I'm like, I'm over there making food and stuff. The pilot goes, "Are you hungry?" I go, "Yeah, I'm getting the airport guy to, order some pizzas up, and here's my credit card." So, well, we land, and this guy jumps out like we're turning down, and the guy goes, and I know they're billionaires. They go, "I am so cold," and I got all these blankets. I'm like, "Oh, you want a blanket?" At the very end of the flight, he's like, "Thanks a lot for nothing," So he runs in the airport, and they're warming up, and Red Cross is there. Red Cross met us there. They want to give me a pair of sweatpants, a pair of sweatshirt. It was actually like a really nice sweatshirt, so I took it. You know what I mean? I'm like, "Oh, this is a nice sweatshirt." You know what I mean? So it had like cats, and I had a couple cats on it and stuff like that. Like, "Oh, this is an awesome sweatshirt." So he's like, I start bullshitting, going like, "So where you guys going?" "Well, we were going down south." And I'll never forget the kid yelling at the father in the FBO of the airport. He's like, "Dad, I didn't want to go on this trip." And this is before I knew they were billionaires, He's like, "I didn't want to go on this trip, and you fucking took me, and now I hate you even more, Dad." I'm like, "Come on, man." You know what I mean? Like that
Oh
was
man.
yeah. The kid's yelling at his dad. He's like 20 something, and I'm like, "Dude, you got the ride of your life, man." He goes, "I was so scared." He goes, "I didn't realize how big you were." And he goes, I felt better now how big you were. I knew I was in good hands." But he goes, "I was scared shitless." And I'm like laughing, and the pilots are all laughing. And it's just funny how people react. And the father's like, he's just taking it all in. He's like, "This is terrible. I'm freezing." And well, I get bullshit. And they're like, "Yeah, we funded Pinterest. We were the ones that funded the startup of Pinterest. I started that." I'm like, "I funded that." I'm like, "Oh my God, like you're a billionaire." I'm like, "Hey, we gotta." So me being me, Captain Craig was the captain at the time. I'm like, I'm like, "Just let you know, we're working with a kind of an older gym at at the air station, or I'm like, I think we should, if you want to really help us out." He's like, "Oh, and he did call the captain. He goes, "I talked to the rescue swimmer." So I get called to the captain's office like a couple days later. He goes, "Hey," Captain Craig goes, "Good effort trying to get us a gym, but we can't take it." I'm like, "Why not? We could dedicate it after the guy's name, and we could do the whole thing." He's like, "Good effort, but so I'm always angling, Yeah, totally. Can't ask survivors, but he did offer, like he did call up and be like, "Well, I'm going to write you a check for a gym," and Captain's like, "I can't do that, So, the ass grass or gas, nobody rides for free, So, but think about it. He would have put a gym. I'm pretty sure the guy would have stroked a check for like $5 million for a gym. It wouldn't even phase them,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but
Yeah. What's kind of cool about that is you got guys and people that are out there, and he just wanted to make a trip. That's it. And he got in trouble. And we went out, and Coast Guard went out, you went out, saved his life.
Yep. It's
awesome.
It's no different. Everybody's like, oh,
it's no different. I was just gonna get to that.
Yep.
No
different
than the dude out there fishing to try to put food on the table for his family.
Yep.
Like,
yep, that's what we do. People get mad about these people, but hey, if I had the money to travel the world with a boat, I would, you know. And
totally.
Yeah, like that's what we live on. Like, I hate to say it, we've got it. We're America. We got good checks and balances, you know. So
yeah,
you know.
Oh,
but yeah, man, I was totally stoked. The kid was yelling at the dad. I got free pizza. Almost got a gym for base Elizabeth City. Yeah, I can only do so much. You know, the rules really I'm not a rule follower. I'm a rule bender. You know, if I can bend them rules, you know. So yeah.
It's how you manipulate them, Claude. It's just manipulation.
Listen, I'm a rock star to a point, but you know, without a good backup band, you're nothing, you know. So yeah.
It's all you just gotta work it into your favor. Yeah. Maybe it should have donated to morale.
I'm sure there's a way we could have done it, but Captain Craig was an awesome captain, and I just think that
that's so funny.
I'll ask anybody for anything, you know, because they'll ask me, you know.
Yeah.
So this dog is.
Sir, can you please save my life? I don't know. Can you please give me a gym? Yes. Yes.
Yeah. You're gonna get a gym. This is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm dealing with.
Look at that dog. Beast.
Say hello. Say hello to America. He's not looking at this thing. All right, go. Oh, it's my kid's dog. He's in Guam, in the Navy, and it's like, oh my god. Ooh. F-18 pilots next, huh, Quinny?
That is exactly what's next. What? F-18 pilots. Hit me, dude. What happened?
So typical, you know, getting ready to transfer over to the schoolhouse. It's one of the last cases I have, and Derek Ansley's on duty, and the call comes over for 2 F-18 growlers, which is like 4 guys in each F-18, or 2 guys in each. They're like the weapons. They're like the wild weasels. I guess the Navy, they do electronic intercept and stuff like that. So like jam SAM sites and stuff. There's 2 in each. There are 2. It's an F-18, but it's got 2 guys in it, and they're called growlers. And they were offshore. They got a little close, and they clip wings. I'm like, how the hell do you clip wings dogfighting? You know, so they, you know, one's coming this. How's it going? Clip wing. I got to do the pilot, and then the one's inverted. You know,
I was inverted.
Inverted like this. And,
what were you doing? Keeping up foreign relations. We're on the same team.
So they hit wings, and they punch out on the ocean. And so they take 2 swimmers, and there's like everybody's going. They were at the pool, and I think I was either cleaning out my locker or doing something. So I'm in the shop. I think they were kicking the shit of each other in the pool. So I'm like, I'm not going to go do that. I think I was sore from the workout the day before or whatever it was. And so they send me out, I go out with Derek, and we're going out there. We're like, we're going to really pick some pilots up out of the water. Like, this is what we train for, you know. Derek's just entanglement, got to let him go, sir. The whole, Top Gun with what's that, Maxie Kelly, that wasn't even a swimmer, that did the thing, it's like so, it's like, gotta let him go, sir. You running through my mind. No, get out there. We deploy out, me and Derek. I think we harness down, swim up to the pilots. You all right? Yeah, we're fine. I'm like, anybody else with you? There's like 2 other guys somewhere. We can't find them. They got picked up by a fishing boat. Like a offshore charter, the 2 guys got picked up, other 2 guys. So we, there's a sea dive marker in the water, it's kind of cool. It's really, they're bleeding off sea dive marker. And, if you get that stuff on you, it's terrible. I've seen a lot of pranks with sea dive marker. You can't get it off. Like, my hands are yellow because I'm touching a pilot. And, so what happened was, we're littering these guys. So the litters come down, 2 litters. We had 2 litters, and package them up. Derek gets his, I get mine. Derek goes, by this time, the other boat's coming, the fishing boat's coming that picked him up, the sport fisher comes up, and Derek's like, well, I'm going to go assess these guys. And there's 53s above us. There's a hurt. There's some sort of AWACS plane. Like it's like Katrina all over again. You're looking up and it's just, it's stacked up to 50,000, broken arrow. I'm yelling broken arrow. And I'm looking, there's like 15 aircraft stacked at 1,000 feet. I'm like, what I'm saying to myself, So I get hoisted back up and these guys are in a litter and I'm like assessing. I'm going to take their boots off. And, I'm really working. I'm doing my due diligence because you're supposed to pick them up in a litter, right? And I'm doing my due diligence of making sure they're not banged up bad. I'm like, can you guys feel your toes? And so finally they unclip themselves and they go sit in the crew seat. And they sit in the crew seat and we're just kind of one's sitting here, one's sitting there, and I'll bullshit with them. Oh, I gotta get the flight patches. So I take their patches right away. I grab their name tags, put them on my TriStar. I'm like, these are mine. The guy's like, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, they're mine. We pick you up, we get them, and he's cool as hell. So, and these guys are fit young men, they're fit dudes, and they're like, oh shit. I'm like, how much trouble are you in? So I start asking questions. I go, and they're on ICS. And I'm like, how much trouble are you in, sir? Are you gonna be in a lot of trouble? He goes, no, we just clip wings and things happen. And I'm like, well, you're going to be all right. You've been rescued by the very best, So we go to Norfolk General, right? So we're heading out there. We're bullshitting these guys and they're drinking some water we got, eating some snacks. So we get to the hospital and I'll never forget, I move them out of my seat. I'm at the left because we've got to land in Norfolk General. You got to come through buildings and stuff. So you really want to make sure the tail don't get jammed up in something. It's midday on a Thursday. And dude, we come around Norfolk, go to make the approach in, and there is it looked like a freaking parade, dude. There's 20 news vans, not lying, 20 news vans all lined up. The whole hospital is outside of just people lined up to watch this, you know what I mean? And I'm like, sir, there's a lot of people out here. He goes, I know, I can see it. And the flight mechanic, John Chain, he goes, oh my, no, it was, I forget who it was, but it wasn't John Chain. But anyway, I know who it is. I can picture him. I'm like, there's a lot of people. Let's not fuck this up. Because if we fuck this up, you're going to see my fat ass running out on fire. You know what I mean? So, we're coming over General and there's we're blowing stuff everywhere. There's shit going, people are flying and stuff's getting blown up in the air. It's like Mogadishu, man, but there's just actual, it's just an epic thing, and there's flashes going on. I felt like I was on the red carpet, right? So we land and they come running out with the gurneys. They throw them on the gurneys and we go walking in and I'm waving, I'm like Princess Diane here, walking down, So, and I'm kind of super, I'm built like a bowling ball, I'm like, oh my, Triton's so small on me and everything. But so we get, we go walking in and the whole hospital's it's people are looking at us. I'm like, this is nuts. So I told the flight mechanic, I'm like, come on, man, come on. I said, really? I'm like, yeah, come on. So we're walking in and I got my knee board. I'm going to tell them I had penises drawn on my knee board. You know what I mean? I'm like, so we get in and they're like, okay, let's do the pass down to trauma center. I'm medic. I'm like, well, we got two F-18 Growler pilots got a jet. I gave an awesome, I just winged it, but gave it a really good pass down to the doctor. I'm like, sir, how fast are you going? I was going, sir. He's like, I was going. By this time they're fucking probing this guy's ass, with something. Because they're got him stripped naked, you know how the trauma centers are, it's just the poor guy's like, I'm fine, I don't need any help, and they're like, well, you were ejected and you could, so they're doing neuro assessments and they're doing weird shit to these people. I'm like, man, I really fucked these guys up, you know what I mean? So, but they had to go through it, you gotta get assessed. So, in a trauma assessment, a level 1 trauma center, they don't play games. So within 2 minutes, they're freaking completely naked. These poor guys are freezing. He goes, I'm cold right now. They throw blankets on them, but they were fine. But yeah, it was like being an epic rock star. So we walked back out because we got out of the way because the other crew's coming in. There's a bunch of Coast Guard helicopters. We sent 3 helicopters out there to do this. So Derek was coming in with the Donald Lipscomb on the next helicopter with the other 2 pilots. And they actually walked in. The other pilots walked in. Mine didn't walk in. I took their boots away, so they couldn't walk, And they all got assessed the same way. And so we got to get out of the way. And we fly home, and it's just a big pile of junk. I think I sent you that picture. It's just a pile of just litters and blankets and flight helmets and everything else. And we come back to the air station, and I'll never forget it. I'm thinking, We're gonna be like rock stars. We get back to the air station, the hangar doors closed, nobody's around. I'm like, what in the hell? Like, just normal, nobody's like, it's lunchtime, so nobody
Yeah.
was even there.
Hey, good job,
20
dude. You
minutes.
did your job.
Yeah,
Yeah, get back to
yeah,
work.
yeah. Fuel the plane, asshole. You know what I mean? Go get the fuel truck, Claude. We got to fuel this thing up. So, and we pull in. We go, huh?
I love it.
Nobody's even outside. So we're like, okay. So then within like 20 minutes, there's like 5 news vans, and it's everybody converged back on us again. It was just an awesome experience, man, to be involved.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what we train for. Like,
Yeah.
Everybody wants to do. If you don't, in the Coast Guard, if you don't do a cliff rescue and pull a pilot out of the drink, you didn't arrive. You never. It's like being a Kodiak swimmer. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I had a good career, man. That was one of my last cases,
awesome.
and yeah.
Actually, we get to hear your very last rescue from the Coast Guard, where you had it was a bunch of Asians on a vessel, and
I had a bunch of Asians that were flying me. I had 2 Asians, a flight mechanic and Mr. Lee.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go probably a little off color thing here, but I had Mr. John Lee, which is a really good pilot. I had Jerry Traum, which was a good flight mechanic. He's the one I got my air medal with, and in Cape Cod. So he's in Elizabeth City now, and he's an instructor. And it was just a sport fisher, somebody having a heart attack. Well, it's a very small boat, so it's not really anything epic story or anything like that. It's just Jerry and Mr. Lee are hoisted. I think there was a kid under instruction for some reason. Well, anyway, it's like I get lowered to this boat, and we're like, hey, guys having a heart attack. We're going to lower you down. We'll do the assessment. We'll basket them out, whatever, and get out of there. And well, Mr. Lee couldn't see it, and Jerry wasn't giving good conning commands that day or something. And I'm like basically like getting thrown upside down, back forward. You ever been in that experience where they don't wave off and you're just like you're going along for the ride? And,
yeah. You're swinging left and right.
Yeah,
there's no control. You're like,
and they didn't move the fishing poles, so I'm like wrecking these poles, like these $1,000 rods. I cleared them off. I'll never forget. Like a tuna couldn't rip it apart, but my fat ass can, and I get thrown down, pick back up, thrown down, pick. It's just one of them days,
Yeah.
And
you can't get off the hook fast enough. You're like, I just need to get my feet underneath me. Get off the hook.
So I get off, I got the hook, and you get ripped back up, and it's like, bam, you're like get pulled back, and you're in the water, then you're on the boat, and we've all been there. We've all had a case like that, or a couple. And then finally, I get to the boat, I disconnect. I'm laying there. I'm like, I think I'm dying. You know what I mean? I'm like. So I get up, and of course I get up, and I'm good to go. But it's just funny because I'm like, I get back to there, so I go, man, I got to pick the only guys you Asians can't even see. You can't fly, you can't drive, you can't see it. Jerry Trump's like, screw you. It was just good banter, But it was a great case.
Hilarious.
Get the guy taking the Norfolk General. You know how it goes. So typical.
Dude, that's great. That is great.
Eat, sleep.
A great last rescue to have, for sure.
Well, a memorable one,
Yeah.
And that was the end of it, man. Then I kind of went to the day of school, and that
what
was
a great
it.
career,
so,
man. Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Bro, thank you so much for sharing all of these stories. This has been an incredible treat for me. Claude, I mean, you and I have been friends for years, and it's so funny. You and I have never worked together, but we've crossed paths in so many different areas.
Yeah.
It's just, it's been a blast. So thank you for joining me.
Man.
I want to talk about 3 things before I let you go. The first one is Operation Restore Warrior.
Man, what a life changer. You went too, right?
I did. And I if I could do it again, I would. It was amazing. And we're going to turn this into 2 things. Operation Restore Warriors, for those that need a little help. In other words, your mind's not right and you can't get back from it. Buddy, it's unreal. It was.
So I had a close friend, Ross Moreau. His son worked for me doing trees and cutting grass. Became friends with him kind of after I retired, and things at the end went a little sideways, but it is what it is for me in the Coast Guard. And got out in 18, retired 20 years, and it was just kind of hurting. Didn't really have a brotherhood anymore. Didn't really have didn't really know how to deal with a lot of emotions. You know, people retire all the time in the Coast Guard, and you know they wind up dying like a month later because it's just they lost part of them. But I needed something, so I stumbled through about a year of anger, depression, whatever you want to call it. You know, worked EMS for 6 months, and I just needed something. And this guy Ross Monroe, a Navy SEAL, he's like, man, go to this thing. I got this thing you're going to go to. He goes, you need to go. You'll feel better. And I kind of put it off for a while, for 6 months. Then finally, I wound up going November of 19. Went to go out to Colorado to Operation Restored Warrior. And John Rice, who went the month before me, I believe. John Rice was from the schoolhouse. So he went, and then I went. And it was just, you know, to connect back with God. And I would always go to church. You know, I started going to church. But I just needed to kind of figure out why I'm going to church and who I am and what I'm asking for. And I went out to ORW, and it really changed, man. It gave that healing, that forgiveness, to give forgiveness, to heal, to you know, to put some things behind you, put it to bed, and just walk with Jesus, you know. And people know me, they're like, oh, he's not religious. No, I am. I am religious. I just, you know, I'm different, you know. And ORW really helped me. And I could plug it all day. It's just, if you're hurting mentally and physically, you know, you got to get right. And getting right spiritually, everything else fell in the line. You know, when you're right spiritually, you know, your family life gets so much better. Your physical life gets so much better. Your mental life gets so much better. And it's all spiritual. You know, I can't talk about it enough. And if you're going through a depression or something like that, and you need to go, look, Quinny could help you. I can help you. John Williams is running it now. So
yeah,
Big Willie is doing good things. He's able to get a lot of coaches in, and you know, just reach out, man. Getting that help and getting right with God is the first thing. If you can get right with God, the rest is going to fall into place quickly.
absolutely.
And that's what, you know. I mean, I'm not the best person. I stumble every day, but you know, knowing that I have ORW was awesome. And I do a lot of I read a lot of books, Wild at Heart, stuff like that to kind of keep me grounded as well. But I would go again. You know, it's awesome. Yeah. And you're with 6 other veterans that, you know, and we go through a lot of stuff as a rescue swimmer, even in the Coast Guard in general. So if you're hurting, whether you're, you know, flight mech, pilot, this thing's a great reset. So I can plug
it totally
that all
is.
day.
And I'm going to tie it into a little PTSD as well, because we hear that a lot on this podcast about guys and girls that go through it. And it does not matter. Rescue swimmer, pilot, flight mechanic, nurse, EMT, at one point or another, you may see something. Yeah. Everything, PTSD will hit people in different areas, and you're not even going to know it's hitting you until it's hitting you. Again, fall back, ORW, Operation Restore Warrior it helped me big time with it, and I highly recommend it. And I will throw this out there because I was talking to John Williams about it. It is more for U.S. military guys, but they have had other services from other nations join them, just so you guys know out there. And they have had a couple firefighters and cops as well, as far as I know. So it's an amazing program to help.
I think they're not going to turn anybody away. You know, nobody's going to be like, well, you didn't serve in the U.S. military, so you know, they're not going to turn you away. You know, if you got the need, you know, they're not going to turn you away. So, you know, I guarantee.
Reach out if you guys are suffering out there. If anybody's having a question, talk to somebody and give us a call. ORW is a way to go.
We don't really put enough emphasis on our mental health. Like, we're physically studs. You know, like when you're a rescue swimmer, you don't want to say, hey, I'm hurting mentally, because it might look weak. And it's not weak. You're given more strength by saying, hey, I need a hand. You know, I need help. And you're being more mature, and you're going to be a better rescuer. If you're hurting mentally, get help. PTSD is, you know, I know I suffer from some things that you can't you can't unsee something, and you're there to help. And I had a nurse tell me when I was a very young firefighter, two rules, people die, and second rule is can't change the first. And that's very true. But you don't want to be a statistic of I always say get help, ask about it. There's so many resources, and you have to take care of yourself. So
Totally.
But, yeah. So yeah, PTSD, it's a killer, man.
Yep.
So, but yeah. So
all right, I got one more question. With all of your experience, all of your rescues, and everything you've gone through, do a piece of advice for everybody that's still doing it.
All right. So you got two roads. You come to a road when something's hard, right? You got the very easy route, right? And you got the hard route. And when you put it on paper, whatever way you break it down, the hard route is most likely going to be the right route, and you have to go the hard route. If you go the easy route, it's going to lead to more suffering and more hard work. So I always say, don't take the easy route, take the right route, take the hard route. And it's so important, dude. Somebody, it could be anything from whatever your experience is, you've got to just do it right the first time. There's nothing worse than not popping a raft or, do it right the first time, man. And you'll be set, so.
Yeah, totally. I had a
it,
chief say to me at one point or another, there's never enough time to do it right the first time. There's always enough time to do it right the second time.
Oh yeah. And it's usually more embarrassing. So
totally.
If you do it right the first time, and take care of yourself mentally. We're really good studs PT, but take care of yourself. That's it, man. Don't be scared to ask for help. Nobody's going to say, no, we're not going to help you. So yeah.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah, man.
Claude, I cannot thank you enough for coming on, sharing some epic stories, just the laughs that I've had along with you. Dude, I can't wait to see you again.
Yeah.
Oh, the next
D-cert.
It's going to be sick, dude. So,
June of, what you always say, June of 24.
June 24.
Mo Bizzle. Mo Bizzle. Dirty South.
It's going to be a good time.
It's
going to be a good time. And if I get down to East City in between now and then, dude, I'm going to give you a call.
Come on. You got a place to stay, man. You got a place to stay. I got a big Taj Mahal here. So
I love
take
you,
the
man.
whole family. So,
sick. Freaking right, dude.
Quinny.
You know what? We'll all get together and we'll drink some beer because we got a whole bunch of guys down there that I'd love to get together with. So it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, man.
All right, brother. Well, I'll catch up with you soon, man. Thank you.
All right, Quinny. See you later, man. Bye-bye.
Later.
Bye-bye.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. All right, gentlemen.
Okay.
I've got both you guys on because there's been a dispute on who was further offshore based on a rescue. Now, both of you boys have been on, and Claude, yours is the most recent. Both of you guys earned air medals, which is awesome. Again, Claude, I'm going to start with you because your episode was last released. So, citation to come with the award of the air medal to AST-1 Claude Morrissey for a female passenger who was critically injured in rough seas and severe head trauma and life-threatening brain hemorrhaging located 245 nautical miles offshore. Then we have Scott Holloway. Citation to accompany the air medal for AST-1 Scott Holloway for responding to a distressed call from a sailing vessel which was disabled in 35-foot seas approximately 250 nautical miles off of Cape Cod. So,
mic drop.
Scott's was measured in statute miles versus nautical miles, so I'm actually.
They were both in nautical miles. What are you talking about?
His award is wrong. His award is wrong, and that's all I'm saying on that. So that's the Cape Cod case, but I was further offshore than Scott in Elizabeth City, but he doesn't want to admit that. He's saying it was less than a sea state.
Freaking cruise one time. I was like 4,000 miles offshore. So does that count?
No, wait, before I was in Antarctica. Okay, so listen to me though.
Yep.
Listen, I think you might have won the Cape Cod challenge.
Oh, that's all we're talking about.
No,
yep.
You got to look at the whole thing. I think I was in
whole thing.
You're like every other word I'm hearing.
Well, how many years ago? 16 years ago.
When?
And I never knew the facts because I had already retired when you had that little.
I kept adding a few
probably
miles
you
on there.
Probably.
But I think my award is wrong. I think my award. You're in statute miles and I'm in nautical miles, so I know I'm about 275 just by my rough calculations. So.
Are we talking about your weight now?
No, I wish I was 275. 275 was like, that was many years ago, Scott. I'm 298 right now. You know?
98.
So,
That's
I don't know why I'm arguing with you. You were dead to me the day you walked out of Cape Cod that day. When you
I know.
that packet table, you were dead.
I can't believe that you're letting me call you Claude right now, because usually he makes me call him Chief.
Oh, get the hell out. I was the worst chief in the world. Hey, listen.
Nope.
Listen to me, though. I was way further out. My award is wrong. You're obviously fluffed your case up. You threw a few extra miles in there. I actually pulled the FLIR footage on that. And you were like maybe 180 miles, maybe 180 on a good day. Statute miles. I was 275. I remember it like it was yesterday. So
275 pounds again, right?
Yeah.
what's that? What is it? I can't believe you won this one, Scott. I'm so pissed off at myself right now. When Quinny read that award, I was like, oh man, you only had me by 5 miles. It's really not that much.
All right. You probably drifted too.
I drifted out to about, I want to say about my GPS watch, it was about 7 miles out. So I was 252.
Because they couldn't lift you up, you weighed so goddamn much. They had to freaking get a tugboat out there to fucking pull you back.
You're a tugboat. You know that? So,
Gentlemen,
listen,
thank you guys.
Quinny,
Jason,
this guy is a bullshitter. He's he's not telling the truth about his mileage. Okay, you know I was further offshore in Elizabeth City, but I can't bring that up. You just can't bring that up. So,
can't talk about. Jason, is this solved or what?
I think this is solved. I think this is case
Sorry,
Sorry,
this is the cold case solved. This is the battle royale, but there's more to come here.
I cannot thank you enough for coming on. Just to end this, Scott, congratulations. Claude, I'm sorry.
Oh my Lord.
You know what? I'm drinking with both of you at in dessert, so it doesn't matter. It's gonna be a blast.
The only thing I'm
gonna be
the only thing I can say is loser.
Hey, Lou.
No for love.
Do I have it
No
right?
for love.
God, I hope your plan goes down the way you do for like later skin.
How many times you've said that, and I'm still here. I'm still here, man. You've said that so many times about car accidents, but I'm still here.
I only wish death upon my best friends. Best
going anywhere.
Oh,
right, don't have a heart attack on it.
All right, boys.
Jason, be safe over there.
I love you, man. I love
Thank
you,
you, guys.
Love you guys.
Appreciate it.
Bye. Go.
Now it's time for me to pull chocks and take off. But before I go, I'm always looking for the memorable rescues that people have done. If you have one that you're willing to share or know somebody who has a story, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to highlight it here at the Real Rescue. For everybody that is standing by for that SAR alarm, remember, those in distress are praying for a miracle. They are going to get you. So until next time, fly safe and swim hard. Thank you for joining me today here at the Real Rescue Podcast, powered by Vertical Helicast. We'd also like to say thank you to our sponsors for this episode, Breeze Eastern. They dedicate themselves to our helicopter rescue world. Since the very first helicopter rescue in November of 1945, Breeze Eastern has designed and manufactured superior rescue hoist solutions. While much of the technology and the unique mission requirements have changed over the past 75 years, their commitment to the rescuers, the operators, and those being rescued has not. Contact them today by visiting them at breeze-eastern.com. Hey, rule number 5, be prepared to execute. You never know when that SAR alarm might go off. You never know when somebody might be in trouble. You never know when somebody is praying for that miracle. So when that happens, you be ready to go. You be ready to answer that call.